What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range on what's been a fantastic day to get some testing done out here. Really nice temperatures, although the sun is now starting to creep up, as you can see, to heat things up. But I got out here early enough that I think I'm gonna be able to outrun it before it heats up too much. I've had a couple of really good test results out here today, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be another one. We're taking a look at some good old Underwood loaded with the gold dots. So the jelly contraption's been out here hard at work doing its thing today with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now again, I've done a couple of tests in these. Both of them, I've got them flipped around so they're on the back side. So this entire front half of both of these is good to go. I don't think we're gonna need too much of this right here, so I shouldn't have any problem avoiding those stragglers. As you can see, as always, I'm using a heavy clothing barrier that's got a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And again, what we got here is what I guess we should call vintage Underwood at this point. We got some Underwood 10 mil. This is their 180 grain bonded, but now this is not the current bonded. This is actually still the gold dot. So we got the 180 grain gold dot. You can see there, nice nickel plated case with that really nice big old opening on that gold dot projectile. And before I forget to mention, these were actually sent to me by Steel Punisher, so I really appreciate that. Now, even not knowing the test barrel that they got that velocity from, I feel pretty confident we're gonna see a couple of cases of really good performance right here. I've tested their older gold dot loads in the past, not in 180 though, I don't think. I know I've got some 165s and I think a 135, but I don't think I have or even have ever tested their 180 gold dot. And then what I'm running them out of here today is what I usually do my testing with. For a shorty, I've got my actual current EDC, the G29 with the 3.8 inch barrel, and then I've got the longer full size G20 with the 4.6 inch barrel. So personally, I don't really have any doubt that we're gonna see some very nice performance right here. I'm actually curious to see what the velocity is gonna be though. So let's get it all set up and find out what they do. All right, let's see what kind of velocity we're working with here. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length. I think I'll start with the longer G20 today. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, like I always mention, you're gonna get multiple velocity readings. The large number is right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. I've got the first one set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got them set for 10, 15, 25, and 50. 50 is always particularly interesting on these 10 mils because that's kind of one of the ways people have judged 10 mil power in the past. So now remember, the box on this is saying 1300. I'm going to assume that's out of a 5-inch being 10 mil, so I don't expect to see that here. I really do hope we can stay at around 1250ish though. Let's see what happens. That feels good. 1244, 1260, 1236, 1250, and 1272. So not the 1300, but I ain't really too mad about that one. Let's check out the average. All right, so pretty much what I was expecting and what I was looking for. We had a 5-round average there of 1253 feet per second, extreme spread of 36 with a standard deviation of 13.9. So not the 1300 out of a 5-inch. Would we have hit that? Probably. We'd have been close to that anyway. I don't know if we'd have quite been there. Not up to the speed of my buffalo bore, but it ain't far off. So again, I'm not too mad about this one. Let me get it reset and see what the G29 does. All right, let's see what this 3.8 inch G29 does. Based on what we saw right there, I would say this one hopefully will hover at least around the 1200. It's close to it anyway. Let's see what we get. 1201, 1211, 1180, 1190, and 1210. So again, pretty much where I expected it to be. Not bad on the recoil on this one either. Let's check out the average. All right, so again, right where I expected it to be out of this shorter barrel. We had an 5-round average of 1199. So right there at the 1200. Extreme spread was 31 and a standard deviation of 13.2. So out of that short barrel, you lost 100 feet per second off of what the box said. Not terrible out of that short barrel. Again, I'm not too mad at that. I would like to see a little more. Y'all know how I am about 10 mil, but you can't ask for everything out of everything. I think both of these are still going to do a fantastic job in the gel, but let me get it all set up and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's bonded bad guy blaster jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this G20. No doubt in my mind, we're gonna have some really, really good performance from this stuff right here. I think the thing came out the doggone side. Let me go get another one. All right, y'all, I hate that went out the side right there because it's actually in a perfect place, and you'll never believe it, I've actually got the projectile. For whatever reason, it came back here about 12 feet. Y'all might have heard the little thunk on the camera. I thought I heard something as well. You might have seen me look over. It smacked into a little clear tote that I keep my gel blocks into. Moving, wasn't even moving strong enough to crack the little old cheap plastic tote or anything, and just fell to the ground. So I've got the projectile, and the track looks perfect down there. So I'm gonna send another one though, just to see what the penetration, the extra penetration would have been. I'm gonna try to put this right behind the other one, and then I'll show y'all up above. All right, that one should have stayed in. It was real close to the other one, but that's good to go. Let me go check it out. All right, we're good to go with that one right there. Let's see if we can get this G29 in a spot where everything's easy to see. All right, that should have been absolutely perfect. Let's go down there and check that out. All right, let's check his stuff out down here, y'all. I don't think there was a single person out there watching this that didn't expect absolutely terrific performance, and that's what we got from both of these. Only thing I don't like is the fact that this first one curved out on us right here, which is blocking the other one, but I'll give you some different angles. You can see why that might have happened too, because this one, for whatever reason, had a whole bunch of fragmentation. If you look at it, it started right in here, all kind of lead and jacket, just a really, really bunch of fragmentation, whereas the next one that I sent from the G20 behind that one, it didn't have hardly any fragmentation. So my guess is it went in nice and straight. My guess is once it started shedding that material, it got off balance and then curved this way and popped on out the side. But it's pretty wild that it came out right here at that junction, and again, it went 12 feet back that direction and smacked that little tote that I carry these things in. And so then, of course, the one again behind this, directly behind it, is the G20, the second one I took. You can see actually parts of it. This whole disruption is not that one. Some of that you're seeing is transposed behind, or this one's transposed over the top of that one behind it. Basically, the G20 that's behind this one looks almost identical to this disruption out of the G29. Goes in here, fantastic energy transfer. I mean, it slung that cloth off of the block with every single round, sends that energy disruption all the way through here, and actually some interesting penetration. I actually would have expected more than that, but probably with this massive expansion, it kind of just gave it some drag. Looks like you're right at about 14 inches, and I'm not saying that that's not adequate. That's more than enough with this 10 mil right here, but interesting to see it didn't go more than that. And then of course, I think you can already see before I even bring you in closer, you got some massive expansion. And then finally, of course, down here on the bottom, that's the one out of the G29. Once again, it looks nearly identical to that G20 on the backside here. Very, very nice disruption, energy transfer, again, all the way through its travel. I mean, you can just see what kind of energy and disruption this round is causing. Goes on through here, you got forward momentum about an inch further than the projectile, which makes it nearly exactly the same. Actually, that forward momentum on this one is exactly the same as that G20 behind the first one. So as far as penetration on them, obviously that first one from the G20 went out at 16 inches. Who knows where it would have went, but the one that we kept from the G20 here is exactly 14 inches. And once again, that G29 is exactly the same, 14 inches of penetration. And then here's a first close-up view again from the front. So the G20's on the top, 29 on the bottom. You can just see massive disruption, and you can see what I mean. There's a lot of fragmentation from that one from the first G20. For whatever reason, the second one didn't have all that, but if you look at the projectiles, you can see absolute massive expansion. And then overhead here, this is actually separating those two G20s, so you can see what I mean. That was actually two of them. We'll follow the G20s through here. Just a lot of fragmentation, but again, if you look on that back, on that G20, the second one, you see very, very little fragmentation at all. And then here's your view from kind of upper back side here. I'm just trying to show you that G29 a little better, just to show you it's basically the same as that G20 right up above it. And there you can see both the projectiles. All right, let's look at these big old lead starfish, y'all. Absolute massive expansion from these right here. Now, this right here, that's the 29. I'll show you back here in a second. I want to show you these first. This is that one that came back after it came out the side right there. You can see, I mean, it lost a lot, but it's in the gel. It lost everything before it left the gel. So big old mangled up mess right here, but this is the actual good one that we caught from the G20. So we'll use these two right here to mainly check out. I'll give you some weight measurements on that other one just so you'll know what it did lose. These right here, absolute massive expansion. I mean, huge expansion on those things. Just look at the back side of them, way back down past the base there. This one, again, was from the G20. This was from the 29. Definitely a difference here, but more along the lines of just as far as consistency. Like on this side, the G29, those didn't open as much. I think that's really just pure chance, though. For the most part, these look like they did basically identical as far as performance. You can see that really nice bonding too of the gold dots. All that lead is just bonded to the jacket. Now, I guess one downside of that could be once you lose material, say you can't just lose a jacket, that lead's going with it. So if there is a downside to bonded, I guess you could say that might be it. But either way, these things did a fantastic job. So let's get us some measurements on them and see what we got. I'll start with the weight, and I want to weigh this one from the G22 that lost so much material. They all started at 180. That one is actually down to 152.2, so right much loss there. This G20 that kind of acted normal, I guess if you want to say, that one is at 178.0, so very, very little loss right there. And then this one from the G29 is at 178.1, so very, very little loss, nearly identical to this one out of the G20. And then as far as the sizes, I'm not even gonna bother with this one. I could get a big measurement right there that would be just like the other one, so we'll just get these that's more even where I can measure them easier. This one from the G20 here, you got 808 and 829, so absolute massive expansion right there. And then this one from the G29, you got 796 and 773. So again, both of these things, just incredible amounts of expansion. And there you have it, y'all, what we can now basically call a blast from the past from Underwood. Underwood 180 grain 10 mil loaded with the gold dot. You can't get the gold dot loaded from Underwood anymore, and it's really, really hard to get the gold dot projectiles at all, which is a shame because these things do perform nicely. I mean, there's no argument here. Now, some people might say for large game stuff, you want more penetration and energy, and I would tend to agree right there, but for any kind of two-legged problem, these right here would have absolutely no trouble, and I wouldn't feel too underpowered at all against most four-legged problems. So if you're out there and still hanging on to some of these 180 grain gold dots from Underwood, not that I needed to tell you because I'm sure you already knew, these are absolute winners. All right, y'all, I'm always nervous about ending the day off with a 10 mil test and having to go home mad about some bad performance, but luckily this right here didn't give me anything to be mad about. I think this stuff performed very nicely. Really though, was there any question? It's 180 grain 10 mil Underwood loaded with gold dot. That's really all you have to say. It's pretty much a guarantee that you're gonna get nice performance from any of this Underwood that's loaded with gold dot. And this 180 grain performance is just another example of that. Absolutely incredible expansion from this stuff right here. Very, very nice penetration. Again, I was thinking it was going to get a little more penetration, and it probably would have if it weren't for that massive expansion. But for two-legged stuff especially, this stuff right here is a fantastic option. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this stuff. Any y'all out there still squirreling away some of this gold dot loaded from Underwood or some other Underwood 10 mil? If not, what are you running in 10 mil? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. Like I always ask you, check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you pick up after hitting those links down there, I do get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really appreciate that. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel like y'all do. Definitely some good stuff done out here today, and I've got some really good ones planned, so stay on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.